TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. I'm Aaron Viner sitting in for Jonathan Hessen. And in today's top stories, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant cautions Syria against permitting Iranian activity on its soil. IDF Intelligence Assessment asserts that the Islamic Republic has not yet made a decision to cross the red line toward producing a nuclear weapon. Jerusalem believes that Washington remains the primary director of international policy. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant is warning that the country faces rising threats from different theaters that are merging into one cohesive front. During an address at the annual conference of the Institute for Policy and Strategy of Reichman University, he pointed to Iran as the force that currently poses the greatest danger not only to the Jewish state, he said, but also to the world.
Since its establishment, Israel contends with complex security threats. Over the years, these threats intensify and shift into new forms. This past period, we are witnessing a clear trend in which separate fronts are converging. Behind these threats, in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Judea, and Samaria, with which we contend today, one line which connects them all exists, and that is the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran is the greatest threat to regional and global stability. Iran conducts a war of attrition against the State of Israel by means of its proxies on its borders, while in tandem, it exploits the time which it allots to further enhance its economy as well as to develop nuclear weapons in particular.
Minister Gallant went on to expand on Tehran's malicious ambitions for the region and beyond.
In recent years, Iran is managing a process of a geographic and ideological takeover over the countries of this region. These include Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, and also the Gaza Strip. Iranian intentions go far beyond these. Under the umbrella of changes in the Middle East, Iran moves westward and it is trying to create a land corridor from the Persian Gulf toward the Mediterranean Sea. It does this via its proxies and aspires to enforce its murderous Shiite ideology and that of the dark Iranian regime.
The Israeli Defense Minister further outlined the Islamic Republic's unrelenting efforts to entrench militants in Syria, as well as to transport weaponry via a land route through Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, which, under his watch, he said, have been met with expanded Israeli force. And while the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has recently returned to the Arab fold under the umbrella of the Saudi-led Arab League, Jerusalem's top defense official reiterated that when it comes to Tehran's malign behavior, Damascus is not immune from a resounding response regardless of its renewed affiliations.
Since assuming my post, the number of Israel's attacks against Iran in Syria was multiplied. As part of this campaign, we are operating systematically to strike at Iran's intelligence capabilities in Syria. These attacks exert significant harm to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard's attempts to entrench merely a few kilometers from the border of Israel. I clarify from this podium, in unequivocal terms, Syria's readmission into the Arab League has no meaning for the State of Israel so long as Syria continues to serve as fertile lands for Shiite terror and will enable Iran and its proxies to operate from its territory. So long as it continues to facilitate this reality, Syria will continue to face the power of our security establishment. Nevertheless, this is the place to stress that our target is Iran's activities on Syrian soil and not the state of Syria.
Iran has long been met by decisive Israeli actions to prevent its westward expansion, but Defense Minister Gallant revealed that the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps is now developing new methods in attempts to circumvent Israeli activities, including the transformation of ships into heavily armed forward bases for intelligence gathering, from which tactical operations could also be launched.
We identify accelerated activities of Iran's Revolutionary Guards to convert civilian commercial ships into military vessels. The Iranians are arming these ships with many weapons, including UAVs, sophisticated offensive and intelligence capabilities, with the aim of creating floating bases far beyond Iranian territories. All of the pictures which are showcased here are floating terror bases. This is a direct continuation of Iran maritime terror, which it employs in the Persian Gulf and Arabian Sea. It is acting to expand these activities also to the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, and also the Mediterranean Sea. We are talking here about concrete and pre-planned policy that is intended to threaten maritime shipping, both civilian and military, and to create a perpetual state of threat in the maritime sphere.
While Iran's activities have been taking place on multiple arenas surrounding Israel for the past several years, during the course of the past year, it has also increased its efforts to bolster its investments in Judea, Samaria, and the Gaza Strip, which, according to Defense Minister Gallant, amounts to $1 billion a year. Moreover, he noted that the Ayatollah regime has actively been engaged in trying to recruit Arab Israelis into its schemes.
Iran's tentacles are also stretched into the Palestinian arena. It invests much effort and resources to activate terror in Judea and Samaria and the Gaza Strip, and even by efforts to recruit Israeli Arabs.
Even though the Islamic Republic of Iran is active on a variety of fronts, Minister Gallant underscored that such activities are merely secondary to its nuclear development program, which he stressed is rapidly approaching the moment of no return. While the defense minister emphasized steadfast resolve to utilize any and all possible measures to thwart Iran's nuclear ambitions, commander of the IDF Intelligence Directorate, Major General Aharon Haliva, who also spoke at the Reichman University conference, stated that according to the presiding assessment, the Ayatollah regime has yet to actually make that final decision about producing atomic bombs.
I will say this very clearly. Iran poses a real threat to Israel, but we must say what changed in recent years. The struggle between Iran and Israel turned into a direct clash, with many reasons behind it which we cannot elaborate on overtly. Nevertheless, today this struggle is between Israel and Iran, which takes place in many separate fields. We aren't talking here only about its nuclear ambitions, or its weaponry, or only its proxies, or the northern threat emanating from Hezbollah. Iran finds itself in a juncture in time vis-a-vis its nuclear program, which we follow carefully. In relation to its enrichment and weapons development, it is making strides. I want to be clear in my words. According to our assessment, and that of the entire intelligence community, Iran has not yet made a decision to break out to a nuclear weapon, neither vis-a-vis the enrichment leg, nor the weaponry leg. However, there is preparedness to the day in which Iran's supreme leader or his replacement will take this decision. We have our eyes open to alert of Iran's decision to move ahead.
Israel's top military intelligence officer went on to address the changing global reality that is rapidly evolving at an unprecedented pace.
I think that we live in a complicated period in which challenges are different from any other time, especially in relation to global trends, and I saw that this conference has a slogan in a reality of uncertainty. To the contrary, I believe that we have much certainty because we observe matter with much clarity, but we say that global trends and their influence on the region and Israel, as well as the pace in which these events take place, is unprecedented. When I look at our annual intelligence assessment for 2023, speaking about the first 5 months, our assessment was not only accurate and fulfilled itself, but we are now in need of a new assessment because the pace in which the events unfolded was far beyond any expectation.
General Haliva also maintained that, in contrast to widely disseminated propaganda that claims a decline of its strength, that the United States continues to dictate global trends.
I think that the United States leads this matter, our most important ally, which has not replacement. It remains the global police officer, an all-capable superpower, and its policy is the one which shapes the entire world. When you look at the competition between the United States and China, when you see the significance of war on European soil which is far from reaching an end, when you observe additional global developments such as an economic crisis, climate crisis, energy crisis, matters related to supply chains and ideological struggles, and that all of this enters into a short period of time, as was the case in recent months this past year, when you analyze the American policy and look at global trends, we too must look at the world from a broader prism and not focus only on Iran or the entire region, but rather to better understand global trends and to comprehend their influence on Israel, and I can say that it has substantive influence on us.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I'd like to encourage you to please pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the redemption of Israel. I'm Erin Viner, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, a blessed evening, and God willing, we will see you again here tomorrow at the same time.